the White House needs to start addressing real problems. According to renowned economist Peter Morici, the United States faces three major obstacles to its economic recovery: Chinese mercantilism, poor domestic energy policy, and Wall Street abuses. By far the least pressing issue is Wall Street, because it is an aesthetic problem which can be dealt with through regulation, the only difficult part being finding politicians with the stomach to put forth that regulation. Unfortunately, our government has spent almost all of its energy dealing with Wall Street, only a tiny fraction dealing with our dysfunctional energy policies, and it has paid absolutely no attention to the international commercial abuses of the Chinese government. Beginning in 1994, the Chinese government started printing yuan rampantly and using them to purchase American dollars. This not only gave them a large hoard of cash on hand, but it also made their products cheaper for the rest of the world to buy. This meant that American stores were flooded with inexpensive Chinese goods, which in turn put even more of our money into the hands of Chinese companies, all of which are controlled by the state. At the same time, we ignored our own resources and the possibility of leading a fuel efficiency revolution by encouraging our addiction to oil. The U.S. Department of Energy was created in response to the oil crisis in the 1970s, but it has done almost nothing to abate our addiction to foreign oil since then. In fact, when U.S. oil production peaked and reserves began diminishing, it did nothing to encourage new non-oil energy technologies. According to Morici, up to 90% of our trade deficit is spent on consuming Chinese goods and imported oil. If we curbed these imports, levied tariffs against them, or found some way to cut back, we could put a serious dent into the $700 billion annually lost by this country via international trade. Thus far, President Obama and his economic team have forged policies which do not address the key problems undermining the American system, and we have actually placated to China's interests on the economic front. Making matters worse, the White House has expressed the need to find natural gas and coal alternatives to break our addiction to foreign oil, but it has done nothing to address fuel efficiency standards. Our standard model sedans now get as much horsepower as the first Z28. So it's not hard to imagine putting together an engine which can perhaps get 50% more mileage on a gallon of energy-packed gasoline. Capping off the poor policy measures is the fact that many of the new financial regulations are full of loopholes, which will be cleverly exploited by greedy companies and executives just as they did in the past. When given a mandate to overhaul the entire system by means of incredibly high approval ratings and an economic crisis which can rightly be blamed on the previous administration, the new White House balked and has done nothing to substantively tackle the real problems. This country cannot exist on massive deficits indefinitely. Our creditors are already itching to dump the dollars which have bloated their reserves. The Chinese are in fact calling for a new global currency to replace the dollar specifically so they can dump their holdings. Anyone with a basic understanding of economic fundamentals can tell you that. Nonetheless, the elite leadership in this country refuses to change its course. We need something new before it's too late. On behalf of concerned citizens, I'm Craig Harrington. For more on this and other related topics, please log on to economyincrisis.org.
Wake up, America! Open up your eyes! Wake up, America! Wake up!
Produced by economyincrisis.org.